There is a lot to get into this week, from Forza Horizon 5 requiring a Microsoft account to log in on PS5 to us finally, after long awaited time, getting a release date for Death Stranding 2, and a lot more to get into. Now, as part of a recent Q&A, it was asked, how do I link my Microsoft account to my PlayStation Network account? On launching the game, you will be asked to sign in with your Microsoft account, sometimes referred to as the Xbox Live services that are a part of your Microsoft account, and link it to the PlayStation Network account you are currently logged into the PS5 console. Linking a Microsoft account to a PSN account is on a title by title basis and permanent. Players have the ability to unlink the Microsoft account to that PSN account for Forza Horizon 5, but will be constrained to relinking to only that specific and originally linked Microsoft account. Now, the funniest part about this, you got the PlayStation fanboys so mad about this, but they were just teasing PC gamers for Helldivers 2. They were telling, what were they telling PC gamers? Oh, just log in. So consider this karma for you. You have to log in with a Microsoft account to play Forza Horizon 5. Next up, we officially got a release date for Death Stranding 2, which will be Thursday, June 26th, 2025. Now, this 10-minute pre-order trailer was crazy. I really had a lot of different opinions about it. It looked wild. I really didn't know what to make of it, but that's the cool part about this game. Now, the first game I didn't beat because, you know, I really wasn't gelling with the UPS stuff, but in this game, it looks like it's offering a lot more combat sequences compared to the first game. And there was one interesting part that I think a lot of Metal Gear fans will pick up on.
World divided, made whole, with a few sticks for encouragement. The UCA's precursor, the United States of America, had a prominent gun culture.
Yes, yes, yes!
Rockstar Games recently acquired the studio founded by the director of LA Noire and The Getaway. And this was a studio that was at one point founded by former Rockstar developer, ironically enough, Brendan McNamara, who previously directed The Getaway for Sony before he made the LA Noire studio Team Bondi. And it said that this studio will be renamed Rockstar Australia. Quote, after working closely together over many years, we are excited to have Video Games Deluxe join the team as Rockstar Australia, said Rockstar Games head of publishing Jennifer Colby. It's been an honor to work closely with Rockstar Games this past decade, said McNamara. We are thrilled to be part of Rockstar Games and to continue our efforts to make the best games possible. And of course, this is going to be one of the things, we're not going to see the fruits of this studio's labor till years, considering we know how Rockstar likes to take their time with games. And the thing I do not want, and a lot of other people do not want, is another Red Dead. Now, granted, I would love a Red Dead 3. I think Red Dead 3 is something that people have been clamoring for, to be playing as Jack Marston and kind of pick up where his story left off from the first game. But the problem is Rockstar may just be looked at as, oh, all y'all do is make Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead. So let's say it's a case where two things can be true, and you could have the main Rockstar teams focus on Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, while this brand new team, Rockstar Australia, makes something else, make other games people been wanting to see, like another Bully game, maybe a Bully remake, or maybe a brand new entry in the Midnight Club series, which I believe, I don't care what anybody says, just because it's Rockstar, it will sell a gazillion copies. If they were to go out there and R&D another Midnight Club, like that would put racing games back on the scene, because we know racing games, it's been seen as like this dying genre, but we still have IPs like Forza Horizon that come out. We still have Need for Speeds come out. And I think that if we were to get a brand new Midnight Club or something along those lines from this brand new studio someday, I think that would be everything that fans wanted. It's better to do that than just have all studios work on one game at a time, and that way you just end up releasing what, 1 or 2 games per generation. Rockstar's at that pinnacle where they realize, yo, we can take our time with this. We ain't got to be so quick to put out stuff, and we can just slowly trickle out hype and anticipation. We ain't even got to go to game events. We can just post on Twitter, Grand Theft Auto 6, it'll be out this fall, see you there. Like, they literally could do that and just disappear. And that's how much clout they got. They could literally, if they wanted to, have their own Rockstar Games Direct, if they wanted to have a showcase of games that they got coming up in the pipeline. Now, of course, besides Bully and Midnight Club, there are other games that people want to see a new entry from when it comes to Rockstar. And it would be franchises like LA Noire, Max Payne. Now, even despite those remakes, we know that Rockstar still owns the IP to Max Payne. So a brand new entry in the Max Payne franchise, I think would do wonders. But I think they'll probably, if they were to do that, they probably would wait. They'll probably wait till after Remedy releases the remakes for Max Payne 1 and 2, and then they'll decide what to do if they were to go that route. But again, I'm just spitballing here. These are games, or whatever they end up making, we ain't gonna end up seeing for a very long time. Now, recently, a Ubisoft shareholder claimed that the company failed to disclose meetings with EA and Microsoft about IP acquisition. Now, this was something that was first reported by IGN. A company called AJ Investments, a firm that has less than 1% stake in Ubisoft, said that the studio horribly mismanaged by current management. In addition to the firm's CEO, Jiraj Krupa, says that the company failed to disclose reported meetings with EA and Microsoft, among other interested parties, regarding potential acquisition of Ubisoft IPs, saying that the company didn't appropriately communicate its plans, who were in talks with the shareholders. Because of that, he's calling those who are frustrated with the prolonged stagnation in Ubisoft's stock performance and the lack of decisive action from the management team to join them in protest in May. Krupa also went as far as saying he's ready to sue Ubisoft for, quote, misleading investors, adding that they are aware of Ubisoft having a financial review of different various strategic options. A statement that was given to IGN reads, quote, the board has established an ad hoc independent committee to oversee this formal and competitive process so as to extract the best value from Ubisoft's assets and franchises for all stakeholders. Ubisoft will inform the market in accordance with applicable regulations if and once a transaction materializes. Now, of course, I don't think those are the only 2 big players in town when it comes to acquisition of Ubisoft IP. And it kind of is interesting that they're already looking into selling the IP when we know Shadows is about to come out less than a week. Monday, practically Monday, we could be getting the game. Monday at midnight, or whenever they end up having to go live, it's going to be out into the wild. And this just comes off like it doesn't matter if Shadows performs well or not. That it's, if anything, it could come off like that game is just buying y'all some time. Because if y'all are that confident, which I do think that Shadows will sell well, I don't care what anybody else says, then why are you talking about selling some of your IPs? Unless they're talking about selling IPs that they don't even use anymore. IPs that they just threw away, like locked them away. Now, in order for this to make sense, it has to be a thing where 1 or 2 things might be true. Where Shadows is just buying Ubisoft a little bit more time, or they have no plans to sell off the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry IPs, but other IPs that they have in the pipeline. We know they have other IPs, smaller IPs like Rabbids, Rayman, The Crew, For Honor, Ghost Recon, Watch Dogs, and the list probably goes on and on. Now, that would be the only way this would make sense, if they're willing to sell some of those IPs. But if you sell the Watch Dogs IP to a company like EA or Microsoft, I wouldn't be mad at it. But if it was only stuck between both of those and nobody else, I'd probably side with EA over Microsoft, because Microsoft is one of the companies that people are still waiting on them to put out that next big thing. Now, the closest that they've gotten to that so far may be Avowed. Now, as far as EA goes, no matter what you say about EA, they have had a pretty consistent catalog and track record when it comes to game performance. Now, granted, if they were to get a hold of the Watch Dogs IP or any other IP that Ubisoft has, what studio could you see make it outside of Respawn or EA motive for that matter. It's not that many go around. And of course, when it comes to the smaller games like Rabbids and Rayman, I could see like one of their EA Originals developers make a brand new entry in those series. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But I think sooner or later we'll start to hear PlayStation's name be mentioned in this, because they did say other parties outside of EA and Microsoft. So if Microsoft's involved and PlayStation hears that, you bet your sweet ass that they are having PlayStation in them conversations as well. Now again, it goes back to those same IPs that I could see them selling, and them not have Assassin's Creed and Far Cry on the chopping block, or even Ghost Recon for that matter. If they were to include all the IPs, including Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, then I would be scratching my head and leaning towards the latter point that I made earlier. Now, do I think PlayStation would realistically get all those IPs of Ubisoft? No. Even though, granted, I do think that between PlayStation, Microsoft, and EA, PlayStation has a lot more studios that could do those IPs a lot more justice. Even a developer like Team Asobi, they just put out the Astro Bot game. A lot of people genuinely enjoyed that game. If they made a Rabbids game or a Rayman game, I don't think that too many people would be opposed to that. The developers behind the Until Dawn remake Ballistic Moon effectively closed down. Now, before this announcement, there was a bunch of layoffs that happened sometime late last year, and the only skeleton crew that remains at Ballistic Moon are the founders and maybe a handful of developers. Quote, people are sharing bugs that they found in the game to make the team aware, but there is no one working on patch support for the game anymore. The studio has effectively closed now. Quote, Sony said after the game they might greenlight more funding for updates, but it looks like they did it. Now, according to most people who worked at the studio, they said that it was a genuinely good place to work with some instances of unpaid overtime, and it would even go as far as to add up to weeks of unpaid work, with a quote reading, nice reward for our hard work. Now, this is just proof that this remake was not at all needed. Nobody wanted an Until Dawn remake. You could have easily added a 60 FPS patch to that, maybe tweaked up the resolution to that for free. But because they decided to fully fund a remake that wasn't even really needed, that didn't even look like it was drastically different from the original version when it came out on PS4, it's baffling to me. Now, with that being said, y'all let me know what you think about all these stories in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.